Today I want to talk to you about something that will completely change your life. It affects every aspect. It affects your success, it affects your relationships, it affects how you show up in the world. And the thing is called mindset. Mindset is a buzzword these days. I hear it all the time. There's mindset coaches, there's books on mindset, master classes on mindset. And this idea of mindset is permeating the culture right now. But maybe you don't even know what it means. What is a mindset? And a mindset is essentially a belief. And the belief is either I have a fixed mindset or I have a growth mindset. And I'm going to dig into those two things in a little bit. But first, I want to remind you to like and subscribe and share this channel. It really helps, and I appreciate everybody who's getting the message out there. So mindset, what is mindset exactly? It's based on some research done by a psychologist named Carol Dweck. And Carol decided that she was going to see if she could figure out why some people are successful and other people aren't successful. She started studying people and interviewing people, and she found a common denominator. She found that the thing that successful people had versus the people who weren't successful was something called a growth mindset. And the people who were less successful had what she called a fixed mindset. And a fixed mindset means I can't grow, I can't change. Things are always going to be the way that they are. And I'm just stuck in this position. And so I might as well just live out my days until they're over and I do something else. Whereas the growth mindset people, they believed that they could change. They believed that things happened as a way for them to learn and grow and change and adapt and evolve into life. They saw obstacles as opportunities and not setbacks. What are the characteristics of someone who has a fixed mindset? Somebody who doesn't grow, somebody who oftentimes isn't very successful in life, in their relationships. One of the things somebody with a fixed mindset is going to do is they're going to avoid any kind of challenge. Whenever they see a challenge, they decide, oh, it's too hard, I don't want to do it. Maybe it's something like being challenged to learn a musical instrument or a foreign language or a new skill. And they see this challenge as something like, I'm not going to be any good at it, so I might as well not even try. And they avoid any type of challenge. When it comes to their work, oftentimes they're given a challenge, and rather than figuring out how to work through the challenge, they give up or they get somebody else to do the work. The reason they avoid challenges is because ultimately they're afraid of failure. They see failure as being detrimental to their lives. And it's this fear of failure that keeps them stuck. It keeps them from embracing challenges and moving forward in their life. Another characteristic of a fixed mindset is giving up too early. They get into something, they get into a project, and they start getting frustrated. And they just give up too early. And as a result of that, they never finish anything. They've got a trail of unfinished projects. This was something I used to struggle with quite a bit. I would start something and then I'd get halfway through it. And because I wasn't immediately good at it, I would give up on it. And it really started to erode my self-esteem, and it started to erode how I showed up in the world. And one of the things that I've done in order to combat this and challenge it is when I make a decision to do something, I'm not going to try. Yoda, there is no try, there's only do. I'm not going to try to do something. I'm going to do it. I'm going to see it all the way through. And when I have this mindset of I'm going to grow and I'm going to change and I'm going to learn and adapt, then that is part of that growth mindset. Another characteristic of a fixed mindset is that effort is fruitless. They believe that their effort isn't going to amount to anything. They can put all of this effort into it and they're not going to see any results. And since they don't see any results, they don't see the advantage or the reason to put any effort into something. If I'm not going to get what I want out of it, then why should I try? And as a result, they miss all of the other opportunities that come from just putting in effort. That learning to give effort to something is in and of itself a growth because you're giving effort, you're not giving up. Another characteristic of someone with a fixed mindset is that they oftentimes see criticism as pointing out their flaws. They don't take criticism, they don't take feedback well. And when you don't take feedback well, you don't change. Instead of seeing feedback and criticism as an opportunity for them to grow and to change and to see some of the things that maybe they're blinded to within themselves, they see it as a personal affront and they push away and they walk away. And a person with a fixed mindset who isn't able to take criticism oftentimes won't be very successful because they're not willing to look at themselves and change. And I think one of the biggest things any of us can do is have the humility and the courage to look inside of us and to look at our flaws and to be willing to change them. This was something that I struggled with, again, for years, was taking any kind of criticism. Anytime somebody would make the slightest inference that I might be wrong, I got an overwhelming sense of failure, an overwhelming sense of shame, an overwhelming sense of these people don't think I'm good enough. And all that ever did was cause me to just quit. Instead of pushing forward and learning from the feedback and changing and seeing it as a challenge, I saw it as they don't think I'm good enough. I don't think I'm good enough, so I'm just going to quit. One more characteristic of the fixed mindset is they see other people's success and they feel threatened by it. Rather than celebrating somebody else's success, they feel like it's a reflection on how unsuccessful they are. They feel jealous. They feel like things aren't fair, and they start to drop into that victim mentality that something in the universe is wrong because they're being treated unfairly, because this person over here is successful and they should be successful too, but because they're not, they feel like a failure. This is the danger of comparing yourself to somebody else. You are not on the same race as somebody else. You're on your own path. And when you compare yourself to somebody else's success, you're always going to feel this sense of inadequacy. And it's that inadequacy that drives the jealousness. And when you're jealous of somebody, you can't really celebrate their successes. And when you're not celebrating somebody else's successes, how do you expect them to celebrate your successes? Okay, so then what's a growth mindset? Growth mindset is that you can grow. You believe that you can grow and you can change. And you're open to all of those things that the fixed mindset isn't open to. For example, a person with a growth mindset sees the challenges and opportunity for growth. They realize that what they want to do in life is to grow into their full potential. They understand that they are a work in progress. So when a challenge comes up, they face it head on, because they see it as an opportunity for growth. Somebody with a growth mindset persists through the obstacles. This type of person is somebody who's tenacious, who's able to just keep going, that they understand that success is just one step away. And if they just keep going, eventually they're going to get to the thing that they want. They're going to get to that success. Whenever they fail, they simply see it as feedback. And if they fail again, they evaluate that, they change something else, and then they continue. They have this belief that if they just keep going, if they just keep persevering, that they will get to success. Someone with a growth mindset sees effort in and of itself as being something of value, because effort builds mastery. And what a growth mindset person is looking for is mastery over something. They realize that you're not going to be good the first time you pick up a golf club. You're not going to be good the first time you sit down at a piano. You're not going to be good the first time you sit down and try to make a YouTube video. It's simply that you're going to learn from the effort. Someone with a growth mindset, they are going to see criticism and feedback as an opportunity. They're going to see this criticism and feedback as something of where they can't see themselves. They recognize that they have a blind spot, and rather than getting hurt and upset about it, they actually appreciate it. They see that as an opportunity to be able to see a different perspective than what they had. And as a result of that, they start to see different ways that they can change. They don't see criticism or feedback as a bad thing. They actually welcome it because, again, they want to grow. And that's what the whole growth mindset is. They want to grow. And finally, a person with a growth mindset isn't threatened by somebody else's success. In fact, they celebrate the success because they see somebody's success and they go, if that person could do it, I can do it too. They see other people's success as inspiration, as fuel to move them forward. If one man can do it, another man can. And when we have that kind of mindset, when we see somebody else's success, and we say to ourselves, I can do it. That's inspiration. So in summary, there's a few things that you should be aware of. First of all, be aware of what mindset you're in. Are you in a fixed mindset or are you in a growth mindset? If you find yourself falling into some of those patterns of that fixed mindset, take a look at those and try to turn them around, turn them into opportunities. Learn to embrace challenges. Challenges happen to all of us. Obstacles get in the way. Things are going to come up for you, and you're either going to learn from them or you're going to shrink back and you're not going to learn anything. And if you don't learn anything, then you're going to stay stuck. Learn the value of persistence. If you persist, you'll win. Even if you don't get the thing that you're going for, you're still winning along the way because you're growing and you're changing in ways that are going to help you for the next thing. Learn to see the value in your effort. Learn to put in the reps. Do the thing that's hard. When we put in effort, that's energy. And oftentimes we get discouraged because we're putting effort into something and we're not seeing the return on it. But effort in and of itself is a value that you want to implement in your life. Also, learn to take feedback. See it as an opportunity. It's something that you can't see yourself. If you've got a chive on your tooth, you can't see it. And somebody points it out to you, oh, that makes sense. That's why everybody's been looking at me weird today. It's simply feedback. There's lots of things in your life that you can't see because you're in the position of the observer, where other people can see things in you that you can't see. And finally, show up in such a way that you're an inspiration. Let other people see the energy in you. Let other people see your effort and say, I want to be like that guy. Because if you've got a growth mindset, you will succeed. And when you succeed, you can be an inspiration to others. And that's the whole point of life, I believe, is to inspire others, to help them understand that they can grow and they can change and they become the best version of themselves. That's what I got for you today. I hope you found it valuable. If you did, like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you next time.